This week on Unscripted, we have news on Daniel Bryan if he has signed with the WWE or has he not. We'll talk about that. The Miz has beef with the WWE title not being the main event, which I have to agree with him on that. And will Vince McMahon be looking to steal Ring of Honor's top talent before the Madison Square Garden event next year? This and more on the future #1 podcast right here on YouTube.com. This is Unscripted. What is going on, everybody? It's France, and we're here for episode 28, I'm pretty sure. Yes, of Unscripted, where we talk about a lot and talk about WWE news. We go over what happened in the week, which, quite honestly, Monday, nothing really big happened outside of the 2 triple threat matches and Bayley and Sasha Banks and where they're going with that. There's people saying that's going to be a romance angle. People are saying that Sasha's just screwing with Bayley just to get her guard down before she screws her over. I honestly think it should be Bayley doesn't buy what Sasha's saying. She's just saying it to butter her up, and then she just goes all hammer her again, and this eventually leads to a match at SummerSlam for those two. Other than that, that was about it for Monday Night Raw, but we're going to talk about the triple threats because news coming out, which I could not find the article for the life of me. I looked up, down, left, and right, and I could not find it. Maybe it got taken down. But the rumor going around for SummerSlam is that this Monday, the match between Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns is going to see shenanigans. Both men are going to get either counted out, double DQ'd, or whatever it's going to be, and we're going to get a triple threat match at SummerSlam instead of a one-on-one match, because, yeah, we all want to see that. And no, we do not. We do not want to see Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. What is going on through Vince McMahon's mind? I have no idea. But that is definitely not something I want to see, and I know you definitely don't want to see it. And now people are wondering why, and I said this too, what was the point of having the match at Extreme Rules between those two? Why would you have these two go out there and wrestle each other? Quite simply, it was a way for them to have Roman lose without having to, stop his momentum, which he doesn't have any anyway. I don't get this, how they're trying to sit here and say management's holding me down. Like, they're trying to do this whole Daniel Bryan thing with Roman Reigns when nobody's buying it, and you have him lose on pay-per-view in the very next day. Oh, you can just go into this triple threat match. You have a chance of becoming #1 contender. Somebody explained to me how somebody who is supposed to be held down gets opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. It's just like if a guy who cheats on his wife over and over and over again she leaves him for about a week, comes back, and just continues to let him back in her life, and she continues to cheat on her. It's pretty much the same fucking thing. Are you kidding me? How many times does this guy get opportunity after opportunity after opportunity before you see, this whole thing of us trying to say management's keeping him down is not true and it's not working, so we need to stop. Obviously, you can just tell that WWE is afraid to go away from what they know is safe. They don't want to take risks. This isn't the Attitude Era where they had to take risks. They had to do whatever they could, do whatever it takes to win the day. And eventually they did, and eventually they took over the wrestling world. And the wrestling world is just recently, over the last 2 or 3 years, coming back to where it could actually be competition for the WWE. SmackDown Live, though, we'll talk about that in a second, but Raw giving us this match again, which nobody in their right mind wants to see, is just bad for WWE. They just got to stop. I mean, the week before, the go home show to Extreme Rules was the lowest rated show of all time. Outside of, course, holiday episodes, they don't count in that section, but the lowest rated episode of Monday Night Raw in ever. Now, WWE's got to realize when we get to next year and SmackDown goes to Fox, SmackDown is going to have to adhere to a certain threshold of viewership, or Fox will call them up and be like, listen, you have to get these ratings up, or you're going to lose this. We're going to cancel this contract, and we're going to cancel SmackDown forever, for good, on here, and you have to go to syndication. And of course, if SmackDown has to be upped its game, Raw's game will have to be up, because Vince McMahon always does not want SmackDown Live to be the A show, even though majority of the time it is the A show when it comes to the two main roster brands. Over on SmackDown Live, though, it looks like we're going to get Daniel Bryan versus The Miz and Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. Now, this past Tuesday, we had AJ Styles versus Andrade Cien, and that match was great. The ending I did not like, how you get put in the calf crusher by, like, Andrade Cien gets put into the calf crusher, and all of a sudden, within seconds of being put into the calf crusher, Andrade Cien is tapping out. Like, seconds. He didn't fight. He didn't show value. He didn't show why he is the future of SmackDown Live. He just goes in, gets put into the calf crusher, and taps out. It did not make Andrade Cien look good whatsoever. Now, at the end of that match, and we all knew, if you watched the WWE.com exclusive video from earlier in the day, where Vega challenged AJ Styles. AJ Styles said Paige has his opponent picked out. I was hoping, as AJ Styles was up on the ramp with his championship, that the challenger of Samoa Joe would have came out from behind and put him in the clutch and made him pass out. And then Paige comes out and just like, this is your opponent for SummerSlam, Samoa Joe. But we'll have to wait till next week. I don't like when, I'm just going to go out there and pick somebody. Get an announcement, as in make a 2-week tournament thing, have have 4 guys, 2 matches, 2 singles matches. Those winners go on. Of course, it would be the same thing we got next week for Monday Night Raw, but it would be a little bit better because it's not triple threat. So we have Samoa Joe probably going to be taking on AJ Styles. SmackDown, of course, saw Daniel Bryan and The Miz get teased with The Miz holding a eulogy for Daniel Bryan and Kane's Team Hell No, which of course is dead and hopefully will be buried for the rest of all time. And of course that's going to set that up, and a lot of people are like, oh well, Daniel Bryan versus The Miz shouldn't happen now because we got to wait till WrestleMania. But with news coming out that Daniel Bryan, like I will talk about in a minute, there's a reason they're doing this, and even if Daniel Bryan is to resign, there's no shame in doing the first of should be many matches between Daniel Bryan and The Miz, with of course WrestleMania being the one where Daniel Bryan ends the feud by, as everyone else says, winning the WWE Championship from The Miz. How does Miz get to the WWE Championship? It won't be at SummerSlam, and I don't think AJ Styles is losing that title for a long time. I already pitched that unless WWE has another reason to, and it's kind of funny. It is kind of funny how a guy who spent majority of his career in a rival promotion, Impact Wrestling TNA, is WWE's champion, and somebody that WWE likes to have as their champion. It's just amazing how this guy, just 4 years ago, was on his last few years or so in Impact Wrestling. And now he is a 2-time WWE champion and somebody that WWE has marketed towards everybody. He's a marketable guy. This guy is going to go into SummerSlam, he's going to win there, he's going to go to Hell in a Cell, win there, and then the Super Showdown, after the WWE Championship is on the line, he's going to win that there because of the fact that he is so marketable, and WWE also has a 2K game coming out in October, and AJ Styles is the WWE champion, it would not make sense to the advertisers to have AJ Styles go out as the campaign guy and not be WWE champion. So that is a big reason why AJ Styles is going to win the WWE. He's going to retain the WWE championship in the next few months. It sucks for Samoa Joe because it would be great for Samoa Joe to be WWE champion, and he's just wrong place, wrong time. He should have been Universal champion coming out of Great Balls of Fire. That would have been a hell of a thing for him, or at SummerSlam, just to give him the championship. What has it done on Brock Lesnar? Nothing. Not a thing. That title means absolutely nothing. You would have gave it to a monster like Samoa Joe, who could have moaned through half the WWE locker room. That would have been great. But no, WWE stuck to the guns to try and put Roman Reigns over, and a year and a half later, it's still going to fail. Also, the way the end of the show ended, which was great, and is going to definitely eventually to an AJ Styles Randy Orton match, is Randy Orton came out and utterly destroyed Jeff Hardy, took his finger, put it into his earlobe, because Jeff Hardy has gauges in his ears that he takes out for matches so he doesn't, lose them. But I literally thought he was going to just yank and rip that open, which would have been nasty. Thank God he didn't. But if you heard Randy Orton during the entire beatdown saying, "You want to know why? You want to know why? Well, you're just gonna have to wait to find out." He said the first time, and then when he's pulling his ear, he's like, "Why don't you just ask me? Why don't you just ask me why I'm doing this?" So Randy Orton as a heel is the best thing going for him. Randy Orton is better a heel than a babyface. Randy Orton babyface is just boring as can be. He's Randy snores Randy Borton. But now we got the Viper, the sadistic guy, back. I know with it being the PG era and PG wrestling, that it's in WWE, it's harder for Randy Orton to be his sinister self. But it also should help with Randy Orton being his sinister self, because he would be a guy who doesn't adhere to the PG era. He goes out there and it will help him out for sure. That was all for SmackDown Live. Then we move over to NXT, which NXT, it came out on, I believe, Thursday night or Friday afternoon, that Dave Meltzer, in his latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, put out star ratings for 2 matches from the G1 Climax and 1 match from not this past week's NXT, but last week's NXT, and gave a 5-star rating to Mustache Mountain versus the Undisputed Era in a tag team title rematch from the Royal Albert Hall. And I honestly have to disagree with this 5-star rating, and this is funny. WWE has not had a 5-star rating, I believe, since CM Punk versus John Cena on the main roster. NXT has had 1 for Philadelphia, 2 for NXT TakeOver New Orleans, and I don't think they got any in Chicago, and now 1 for Mustache Mountain versus the Undisputed Era. That's 4 5-star ratings this year for NXT, while the main roster gives us Carmella versus Asuka with James Ellsworth in a shark cage, or Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss in an extremely underwhelming rules match. Or even better, you have Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe when you have people leaving in the crowd, or a 6-second match, which, by the way, the star ratings did come out for Extreme Rules before I started recording this, and the only match that got higher than 3.5 stars, the 2 highest rated matches on that show was AJ Styles versus Rusev, which got 4, and Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns with a 3.5. Everything else was 3 or below. The Bludgeon Brothers versus Team Hell No was a 3, and I believe everything else was a 2.75 or lower. Of course, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy got 0 stars, while Carmella, the I Can't Wrestle with Shit Queen, got a 1.25. She can't wrestle. Get that title away from her, please. NXT, of course, this week was underwhelming because there really wasn't anything there outside of the triple threat match. They did let Bianca Belair off by saying she was not medically cleared, even though, by truth be told, she was off on her honeymoon to Montez Ford. Congratulations to the happy couple. Maybe I'll know what that feels like one day. Anyway, WWE, the women in NXT again are showing why they are the superior brand. The superior brand of wrestling, which shows we did have I believe it was Dakota Kai versus Lacey Evans in this show too. Not a bad match for those two, but the whole entire show was the triple threat match, and they set up so much with promo packages and everything for teams like the War Raiders, and I believe we also had the title match, which we will not talk about here. We did say something about it on Wednesday between Tommaso Ciampa and Aleister Black. I am looking forward to seeing how we get to the result that was spoiled by WWE, and anybody who's still complaining that WWE is spoiling their shows. They're spoiling a title change, like when AJ Styles beat Jinder Mahal for the WWE Championship in the UK. Why did WWE spoil that mere hours before it would go live on SmackDown on USA? The simple question is, if they don't do it, other people will. They don't want. If WWE had their choice, if social media wasn't a thing, then they would have this big problem. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all this stuff hurts WWE's product because they can't go and do anything taped without it being spoiled. Mustache Mountain, when they won the titles, they spoiled it. I don't think they spoiled the results of Mustache Mountain versus Undisputed Era, like rematch, the one that got 5 stars. But WWE will spoil these things because if they don't, it will be found. You'll find it on Twitter. You'll find it on Instagram if you follow like PW Unlimited and all these other big guys and girls out there who sit there and go to these events. You can go onto Twitter and type NXT, and you'll see pictures and video clips and like short video clips of people at these events. WWE wants to get ahead of that, so it's like instead of having someone else spoil it, we're just going to spoil it because what's the point? But yes, WWE NXT's triple threat match was pretty good. Kyrie's saying it's the writing on the wall. This is the rubber match between these two. NXT Championship on the line. Hey, a feud for the title that makes sense. There's no BS behind it. No shitty ass workers out there. Alexa Bliss can go fucking blow a tire iron for all I give a shit. She sucks in the goddamn ring. Carmella is goddamn useless. These titles on SmackDown and Raw, and we'll talk about the possibilities of what Stephanie McMahon is going to announce this coming Monday. And if it is this one, I've got a lot to say about this. But that is NXT in a nutshell. Kairi Sane ended up beating Candice LeRae and Nikki Cross, which I think should be Nikki Cross's last match and have her come up to the main roster, which she has done on the house show circuit. She is on the main roster, I guess, for SmackDown, which I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but this should be an interesting 4 weeks to go. Starting off this week, we have backstage news on Daniel Bryan. As everyone knows, Daniel Bryan's contract is up on September 1st. He is not able to be all in, though he has already said that. If he is not to re-sign with the company, he cannot be all in unless the main event goes past midnight on the 2nd. This is Daniel Bryan's words, not mine. But there has been conflicting reports. Is Daniel Bryan signed a new 2-year deal? No, he has not. There's been a lot of rumors of Daniel Bryan's WWE contract status as of late. One rumor said Bryan turned down a contract extension, and another claimed he signed an extension. Dave Meltzer noted on the Wrestling Observer message board that those reports are false. Meltzer wrote, no extension has been signed or offered, and as I figured. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's just Dave Meltzer. Don't take his word for him, but he's right on a lot more stuff. He does have contacts within all these wrestling promotions. If Daniel Bryan would have signed a contract, you're going to hear it from WWE. You're not going to hear it from Dave or Pro Wrestling Unlimited or PW Insider or Pro Wrestling Seat or Pro Wrestling Torch or anything or WrestleZone. You're going to hear it from the WWE. It will be splashed on their Twitter page, and it has not been yet. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. This is another reason why Daniel Bryan versus The Miz is being set up for SummerSlam. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz is a big money match for WWE. They would love to get as many dates out of this. Hopefully not like the Shinsuke Nakamura AJ Styles type feud where we get it every single week for 6 weeks plus. They want Daniel Bryan under contract. If Daniel Bryan does not re-sign, the SummerSlam match, if it comes out, if it does not come out before SummerSlam that he is re-signed, the SummerSlam match will be telling on if Daniel Bryan is staying or if he's going. If Daniel Bryan wins at SummerSlam, Daniel Bryan is re-signing. If Daniel Bryan does not win at SummerSlam and The Miz takes a victory over Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam, then Daniel Bryan is gone. So anybody wondering if Daniel Bryan has re-signed, which no, he has not. There has been nothing out. There's been no press release. You know WWE is going to have some kind of press release or something that Daniel Bryan, breaking news, Daniel Bryan has signed a new 2-year extension. He has not. I have looked up and down, left and right, and there is no validity to these rumors of him signing a new 2-year deal. Hopefully that will be resolved, but if Daniel Bryan is not signed by September 1st, probably by SummerSlam, it will probably be the last time you see Daniel Bryan on WWE TV until A, he either signs a new contract, or B, he leaves WWE. That is just the gist of it. If Daniel Bryan does not sign a new contract by SummerSlam, you will not see him on SmackDown in the following weeks leading up to the 1st. Miz has a problem with the WWE not putting the WWE Championship on in the main event, and I agree. The Miz recently spoke to Gorilla Position when Backlash 2018 was mentioned. He did not agree with the main event of the night, but had no problem with Roman Reigns or Samoa Joe being in the final match of the event. He took issue with the fact that the WWE Championship did not headline instead, which I had an issue with, everyone had an issue with. There is absolutely no fucking reason that Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe should have main evented over the WWE Championship, and the same thing with the Intercontinental title Iron Man match should not have main evented, especially with that ending. I believe Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez had a discussion of this on their review, where I think it was Dave who said, with the way those two matches finished, why couldn't they? What is the reason why the WWE Championship did not headline the show with that type of finish? Anyway, I was upset that the championship wasn't in the main event. It wasn't that Roman's was in the main event. It was the championship. When I took a look at a championship in the Universal Championship, it's there. I think the WWE or Universal title should be in the main event at all times. The reason being is that's the most prestigious title. Well, the WWE Championship might be prestigious. The Universal Championship has no prestige whatsoever. Supposedly, it's supposed to be the most the most prestigious and honorable title in WWE. Even though when I had the Intercontinental title, I made it that. At this past Sunday's Extreme Rules pay-per-view, the Iron Man match for the Intercontinental title headlined the event, while Rusev and AJ Styles' WWE Championship match preceded it. The Miz is an 8-time Intercontinental champion, and noted that when he was a kid, the top titles were in the main event, but maybe some superstars are almost bigger than the championship at this point. Whether it was on the first part or the card, or the middle or the end, I made sure the title was showcased at the main event. When you talked about that match, man, that's the match that stole the show. That should be the main event. So when I look at the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship, I think they should be at the end. They should own the show no matter what, because that's just what I grew up to. When I was a kid, those titles were always the main event, even though the Universal title is only about 2 years old now, because that's the way it was. But now you have superstars who are almost bigger than the title. I guess you can say that the main man makes the title doesn't make the man, and that's what I always say. So when I have another title, it will be in the main event, and if it's not, I will strive my hardest to make it sure that it is. No. Here's the deal: nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody on that roster in the independents anywhere in the fucking world is bigger than the WWE Championship. If you wrestle for WWE and you have a title match for the WWE Championship, it should always, I don't give a fuck about the Universal Championship. That thing is a piece of garbage. That thing should be retired. Take it to the UFC and never bring it back. If you are the WWE champion and you are booked to defend that title on a show, unless it is the Royal fucking Rumble, which that is always the final thing that goes on, unless of course they want to do something stupid to the ring. The WWE Championship should always main events. It is the top prize in all of professional wrestling. of all of sports entertainment. It is the WWE Championship. It is bullshit. I don't give a fuck what the title is. I don't care if the Intercontinental title is supposed to be the main title for Raw right now. The WWE Championship has been around for over 60 years. It does not get this type of disrespect. It's not cool. It's not the fact that Jinder Mahal was the WWE Championship last year was bad enough. The last time AJ Styles was in the main event match of a pay-per-view was Fastlane in February. Don't give me that bullshit that his title reign should not be able to main event wrestling shows. It should have been the Intercontinental title match, then the WWE Championship. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The WWE, nobody in this company, including Vince McMahon himself, is bigger than the WWE Championship. No, and that's all I have to say about that. The WWE title should always main event. SummerSlam, Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, the big huge Super Show, TLC, the Elimination Chamber, because the Royal Rumble is the only exception, because that is big, because they're finding out who's going to be going to WrestleMania. Fine. That is the only exception, is the Royal Rumble. Every other pay-per-view should be the WWE Championship. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Universal title can go fuck off. WWE announces 4 more Mae Young Classic competitors and then 5 more yesterday. WWE announced 4 WWE NXT Superstars for the Mae Young Classic. Tegan Knox, who, if you know who she is, that would be Nixon Newell from What Culture Pro Wrestling in ICW, I'm pretty sure. She was Stephanie Newell for a second, then she returned from her ACL, which she was supposed to be in the Mae Young Classic last year under her actual name, underneath Stephanie Newell. Then she tore her ACL right before the show was to start airing, and she was gone for about a year. She came back as Nixon Newell, and now they gave her the name Tegan Knox. Not a fan of that name. I'd rather have Nixon Newell. Deanna Perosa, Jesse Alabon, and Rena Gonzalez. The 4 competitors joined Caitlin, Io Shirai, Ray Ripley, Casey Catanzaro, Nicole Matthews, and Ginny. Also added was Mia Yim, Killer Kelly, Mercedes Martinez, and Crystal. Those are your 9 new Mae Young Classic competitors. I believe that is about 15. We're supposed to have like 32, so we still have a ways to go. They do start recording in August. So if you're excited for the Mae Young Classic, I hope to see Tegan Knox, who I was a fan of hers in What Culture Pro Wrestling when What Culture Pro Wrestling existed. Since they became Defiant, they are a shell of the former selves. But yes, Tegan Knox, I want to see what she can do. Caitlyn, don't really care. Io Shirai, I think should do pretty well. I'm pretty sure they'll change her name. Rhea Ripley, Casey Catanzaro, Nicole Matthews, and Ginny. Mia Yim, of course, anyone knows who Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez was. They were there last year for the Mae Young Classic. Mercedes Martinez made it all the way to, I believe, the semifinals, where she took on the runner-up Shayna Baszler, who she was the only person Shayna Baszler actually gave respect to because Mercedes Martinez was one of the women or wrestlers to train Shayna Baszler before she came to the Performance Center. Mia Yim was also, I believe, she was also a knockout in Impact Wrestling before she came over. She is the one who, she won. I think she went to the second round last year for the Mae Young Classic. Crystal, I'm not sure about anything. Killer Kelly, of course, was at the Royal Albert Hall taping. She did, I believe, she was in that triple threat match to see who was going to face Shayna Baszler the next round, which was won by Toni Storm, and then she, I believe, wrestled the next night too against somebody else, and I can't remember off the top of my head. So the Mae Young Classic is filling up, and by the time I will have a prediction of who will win this year when we get closer and we get everybody named out. I think it's going to be, I don't have a clue yet who it's going to be, but I'm going to make my prediction later. The New Day issue a statement on Hogan's reinstatement. Kofi Kingston has released a statement on behalf of the New Day regarding the reinstatement of Hulk Hogan into the WWE Hall of Fame. Hogan met with WWE superstars before Extreme Rules to apologize for the racist statements he made that were recorded without his knowledge. Kingston said the New Day felt indifferent about Hogan's reinstatement. They find it difficult to forget that the kind of racist statements Hogan made, and chose not to associate themselves with people who say such things. The thing about someone apologizing, whether it's somebody, like a mistake they made, and when it comes to something at your job, something in your relationship, something to a family member, You're not the person that you made the mistake to is never going to forget your mistakes. It's just, and also just apologizing for mistakes being made is not enough. Actions speak louder than words. You have to show that you really are apologetic to those for what you did before. If you just come out and eventually just start making those same mistakes again, then the people that you apologize to, or the person you apologize to, is going to know that you're full of crap, and whatever you said is just hollow. So if you do make mistakes and you apologize for them, yes, it's fine to apologize, but that you have to do more than just apologize in the end. You have to be willing to show that you are regretful for what you said or what you did on the mistakes that you made. And you got to put the effort forward to show, hey, that was not me. I made that mistake, and I need to not do that again by doing whatever you have to do to make sure you don't do that again. Honestly, I honestly don't care about Hogan being in WWE's Hall of Fame. There are people out there, there are people in WWE's Hall of Fame, you have the Ultimate Warrior in the Hall of Fame. I mean, come on. They might whitewash the guy and make him feel sound like he is a blessing, he's just a good human being, when we all know that's a lie. We all know he's not a good human being. I'm not trying to speak ill will of the dead, but Warrior in life was a terrible person. So if he's allowed to stay in the Hall of Fame, then there's no problem with Hogan being in the Hall of Fame. The statement said, to the WWE Universe and who else it may concern, this will be the only statement we will make regarding Hogan's reinstatement into the Hall of Fame. We do not wish to spend the energy debating the point, because between our kids, our external ventures, and this job, our energy is spread thin enough already. We are only writing this simply to provide an answer to the many who have bombarded us with questions on where we stand on the issue. We preface this statement by emphasizing that this is our own opinion and may not necessarily reflect the opinion of anyone else affected. How do we feel? Indifferent. We are not happy or sad or angry or resentful who WWE puts into the Hall of Fame. It is totally and completely up to the company, and from a career standpoint, there is no argument whether or not Hogan should have his place. We have no problems with his reintroduction into the slightest degree. It is impossible to even begin to mention the history and evolution of the business without mentioning his name and accolades. On a personal level, when someone makes racist and hateful comments about any race or group of people, especially to the degree that Hogan made about our people, we find it difficult to simply forget, regardless of how long it was, or the situation in which those comments were made. But we also do not respond with more feelings of hate. Instead, we just do not associate with the people who convey or have conveyed this negative and hurtful mindset. This instant will be no different. Perhaps if we see him make a genuine effort to change, then maybe our opinion will change with him. Time will tell. Through the course of our lives, and of course, before I continue, as it just said, perhaps if we see him make a genuine effort to change, as I said, just because you apologize for something does not mean anything unless you make a genuine effort to change. I have known this stuff personally. I have made mistakes in my life before that I wish I could fix, but hey, what can you do about it? You can only control what you can control. But if you can make the general efforts, then people will see that. Through the course of our lives, people have used racist comments towards us, and it doesn't feel good. But if we stop moving forward, every time we were met with prejudice, hatred, then we could never achieve our current accomplishments. We know we are worth it. We know our kids are worth it. And most importantly, we know that people that look like us are worth it and always have been. There isn't a person on this planet who will ever be able to say anything to make us think otherwise, because we believe in ourselves as people. We don't need anyone else's approval of that, regardless of who they are. Having said that, his reinstatement won't change anything for us. It will have zero effect on our ability to perform or the level of effort we will put into doing what we love to do, and that is to deliver an entertainment product each week for our fan base. Sincerely, the new Nate. AK also, never trade your authenticity for approval. Well done. That is definitely words to live by. But yes, that is my feeling. That is a good thought on the Hulk Hogan statement. I could not find Titus O'Neil's statement whatsoever. I think many people put it down. There was rumors going around that he blew up in the back and walked out. That is definitely not anywhere close to the truth. Titus O'Neil listened to the entire thing. He does not. He is one of the ones who is not really happy with it, but he's not going to do anything to, risk his job. But Henry did come out and also say that the black and African American superstars are 50-50 on Hogan's reinstatement, and they have that right to be. Just don't be like somebody and go out there and make a stupid remark on the comments by Hogan. He is reinstated. You work for WWE. Don't go out there and blow a gasket to a podcast or a radio show, because WWE will hear wind of that and reprimand you for it, probably fine you or fire you. This is their choice. WWE wants to have Hogan. WWE, quite honestly, did not want to get rid of Hogan whatsoever. He is still a big name to them. So having to be him out of WWE for about 3 years, definitely not something they wanted to do, but they had to act at that time. Had the racist remarks happened, 20 years ago, I'm pretty sure WWE, if he was still, WWE would have been like, yeah, people say it all the time. There ain't nothing big about that. It's fine. But no, we live in a different age where something like that comes out, you have to act, and WWE acted accordingly, and they got rid of Hogan for a while. He's back. Hopefully we won't see him on week-to-week television. We don't need to. And not much else you can say about that. Hogan is Hogan, and there's that. WWE announces a new Performance Center class. Keith Lee, Orochi Shirai headline new class of WWE Performance Recruits. A week after celebrating its 5-year anniversary, wow, 5 years, and since 2013, this Performance Center has been around. The WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida has welcomed its newest class of superstar recruits, ranging from the most talented superstar heavyweights of the independent wrestling scene to NCAA champions in basketball, gymnastics, and grappling. The new class is one of the most athletically diverse groups to ever join WWE's Training Center. You have Keith Lee, Io Shirai, who of course is going to be in the Mae Young Classic. Deonna Purrazzo, also in the Mae Young Classic. You have Stacey Owen Jr., Luke Menzies, Tashani Dong, which I can already tell is going to be a flop in the Performance Center. The guy, it's just one of those things. Lacey Lane, Monique Jenkins, Denzel Jornetti, and that's them. If anyone doesn't know Keith Lee was in, the first time I got to see Keith Lee, I didn't know anything about him, was in his matches against James Storm and Ricochet for What Culture Pro Wrestling's World Cup last year, before everything went down and the What Culture 5 left. But Keith Lee is highly athletic. The one fear I have about Keith Lee coming to WWE is because of his size and his stature, the fact that he is an athletic guy. He's more athletic at his size than a guy his size has any right to be. And I don't want it to come down to where he is just going to be this big, brooding heel who's going to just go and be a powerhouse. Keith Lee can do more than that. 320, leading the way is Keith Lee, a 6'2", 320 former champion from the independent wrestling scene, a native of Texas. Lee made waves last month when he appeared in the crowd during Aleister Black and Laura Sullivan's NXT title match at TakeOver Chicago 2. Going by the nickname of Limitless on the independent scenes, Lee has captured many titles during his 13-year career, including World Wrestling Network Championships and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla Championships. I did not know he was around for 13 years. A former member of the Texas A&M football squad, Lee was courted by sports agents to pursue a career in the gridiron before he decided to follow his dream of becoming a WWE superstar. As renowned for his remarkable agility as he is his incredible power, Lee has been known to destroy preconceptions about what it means to be a super heavyweight. He has also clashed with the likes of NXT superstar Cassius Ohno, Dominic Dijak, as well as Ricochet in the past, including Lee successfully defending the WWE title against Ohno at WrestleMania Access in New Orleans in April. Speaking of Io Shirai, also reporting to the WWE Performance Center is Japanese Io Shirai, whose signing with the WWE was originally announced last month at a live event in Tokyo. Shirai is a multi-time champion of the Tokyo-based World Wonder Ring Stardom, the same organization where NXT's Kairi Sane first made her mark. Also known as the Genius of the Sky, Shirai is hailed from her dynamic in-ring style, which combines jaw-dropping aerial moves with technical wrestling and fierce strikes and suplexes. Shirai was named Japanese top female grappler for 2015, 16, and 17 by national sports newspaper Tokyo Sports, and Pro Wrestling Illustrated ranked her as the 6th best woman wrestler in the world in 2017. Last week, Shirai also was confirmed as one of the first competitors in this year's Mae Young Classic. Shirai has got a lot going for her, but this is the WWE, and as we know, for most, it seems to be a lot lenient now, but for most, it doesn't matter what you did in the past. When you come to WWE, it's like you're a clean slate. I honestly think Shirai is going to be one of those ones that it's a clean slate. She worked in Stardom. I don't know much about Stardom as it is, so outside of those people who know about Stardom, I don't know anything much about Stardom. She is probably just going to be a clean slate. She probably won't be Little Shirai when we get to the Mae Young Classic. They'll probably give her a new name. Kairi Sane's indie name or Stardom name was Kairi Hojo. They changed that, so I can see them naming Little Shirai something else when we get to it. Speaking of Dina Purrazzo, 24-year-old virtuous Dina Purrazzo from Jefferson, New Jersey, also joined WWE's Performance Center. A former national competitor in cheerleading, Purrazzo was inspired to become a sports entertainer after watching WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus and Lita. She began training for the ring in 2012 and made her wrestling debut in December 2013 in short order. Purrazzo ascended the ranks of the independent scene, competing for organizations like Ring of Honor, Beyond Wrestling, and the East Coast Wrestling Association, revered for her technical wrestling prowess. Purrazzo has submitted many opponents with her feared Fujiwara armbar. She also wrestled in England, Puerto Rico, Canada, and Japan, including competing in Tokyo's world-famous Korakuen Hall. So there's a lot of people are very high on Dina Purrazzo. I have no inkling of her. I did not get to see her in Ring of Honor, where I guess she is best known for. Definitely going to be someone to look out for. Her, Shirai, I can see being higher up in the Mae Young Classic, maybe getting very far. Will one of these two win? I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. The Mae Young Classic, of course, comes out later this year. A newcomer to the world of sports entertainment, 24-year-old former gymnast Stacey Irwin Jr. begins his training, and yes, his name is Stacey Irwin Jr., but it is a guy. This week at the PC, originally from Taylor, Michigan, the 5'8", 180-pound Irwin was a member of the University of Michigan's 2013 NCAA Championship men's gymnastic team. He has plenty of medals to his name, including 2015 U.S. floor exercise bronze medal and the 2015 Winter Cup floor exercise silver medal. Irwin attended a WWE Performance Center trial in February, during which time he blew away scouts with his dazzling agility. Well, if you're in gymnastics, you're going to have that agility. Now, this guy, Stacey Irwin Jr., is definitely going to be known as a homegrown talent. If we won't see this guy, who's only 24 years old, probably until 2020 at the earliest, as a mainstay on NXT. So he's one of those guys like Purrazzo, Shirai, and Keith Lee we're going to see in the coming months. Stacey Irwin Jr. we're not going to see for a while. This guy is going to be a homegrown talent. This is him becoming running from the ground up. He knows nothing of the sports entertainment business. He has not had any previous training, as far as I know. This guy is going to go out there and he is going to be locked away in the Performance Center for at least a 2-year span. We will probably not see this guy until we get to 2020, and I'd say probably after NXT TakeOver, whatever WrestleMania 36 is going to be. I'd say we won't see him till 2020. Luke Menzies of Batley, West Yorkshire, England, comes to the WWE Performance Center from the world of professional rugby. Standing 6 foot and weighing 260 pounds, Menzies played pro rugby for a decade, including the Hulk of Kingston Rovers and Stalford Red Devils, before setting his sights on the ring. Trained by British wrestling legend Marty Jones, the powerhouse has competed on the United Kingdom independent scene since 2016, and in November that year, he attended a WWE tryout in Glasgow. Another guy we will probably see in the next coming months is Luke Menzies, since if you have a wrestling background, we'll probably see them a lot sooner than we would Stacey Irwin Jr., who is going to be a homegrown talent who is just brand new. It's not that Stacey Irwin Jr., unlike everyone else on this list so far, has is going to be somebody that the Performance Center was originally built for. The original idea behind the Performance Center was to get guys like Irving Jr. who come in and learn from WWE from the ground up, and they become a Baron Corbin or a Carmella, I guess. I'm not sure. I think she's, which if you want to go with Carmella, I would say, what else? There's other ones too that I can't think off the top of my head. But you're going to have guys like that. The Performance Center, yes, and the Velveteen Dream, who is also technically homegrown. Yes, we have guys like Adam Cole, Ricochet, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Keith Lee, and Io Shirai, Kairi Sane coming through the Performance Center and NXT, but the Performance Center was originally built for guys like Irving Jr. and others like that. There are people in the Performance Center that we won't see for a good bit because they are homegrown. We will see them all eventually. And Ta Dong, which this guy is 7 foot tall, 290 pounds, Chinese boxer Ta Dong, who was once called the most intimidating boxer on this earth by Sports News, also joins the rank of the WWE Performance. Hailing from Lanzhou, the capital city of China's Gansu province, Dong was firmly signed with Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions, nicknamed the Great Wall. Dong went 6-0 in his pro boxing career. He also boasts experience in basketball and kickboxing, including a 2013 defeat of international fighting attraction Bob Sapp. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't know what it is about the Asian population, but they never train like the Asian. Like he's going to be like a Great Khali, in my opinion. 7 foot tall, 290 pounds. 7 foot tall wrestlers don't have a high shelf life. Look at Khali. Look at the Big Show is an example. Look at the Great Khali. Look at Giant Gonzalez. Those guys did not have high shelf lives as wrestlers. Even though I think Elegante was probably used a lot more in WCW. But his size is huge. He's a 7 foot tall, 295 Chinese boxer. It's just like, I don't think he's going to do real well. I might be proven wrong, but we've seen this track record before with guys hit from his part of the world that just don't seem to translate well into WWE. Maybe I'll be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. And to finish this off with Lacey Lane. Another crossover athlete is Winter Park, Florida's Lacey Lane, who has excelled both inside the wrestling ring and on the basketball court, accepted to Shaw University and full athletic and academic scholarship. Lane played guard for the Bears basketball team during the 2012 NCAA Division II championship season. That same year, she was also nominated for the NCAA Woman of the Year award. After graduating magna cum laude, Lane turned her focus to sports entertainment, a product of Dudley Boy's 3D Academy of Professional Wrestling. Lane has competed in the U.S. and Mexico. She has got the tools to be a WWE women's wrestler. Coming out of the 3D Academy, anybody who comes out of the Dudley Boy's 3D Academy knows how to work WWE style. She is just going there to be like refreshed on how to be like on camera and everything, and probably work a promo. I'm not sure. She's already ready to go, plain and simple. She will probably be seen like 6 months or so from now. The women's division in NXT is just so rich and is getting richer. The rich gets richer, and it's not funny either. We also have Monique Jenkins, who I guess was MJ Jenkins in Impact Wrestling. I didn't see when she wrestled there. Brooklyn, New York, Monique Jenkins, better known to wrestling fans as MJ Jenkins, also comes to WWE Performance Center from independent scene. Originally trained by Hall of Famer Johnny Rodz, Jenkins made her in-ring debut in 2011 and also received coaching from the Dudleys at the Team 3D Wrestling Academy. Jenkins has wrestled in the Northeast, New England, Florida, and the Dominican Republic. She attended tryouts at the Arnold Classic in 2016 and at the Performance Center last February. Another 3D Academy person. Anybody coming from the 3D Academy, you can guarantee will most likely be in NXT within due time. If Bubba Ray and Devon give you their stamp of approval, then you are going to be, I don't know if you'll be like a main eventer, but you will definitely do something in WWE. We have Denzel Giornetti, who is going to finish up this list here. Rounding out the new class is former All-American wrestler Denzel Giornetti, the 6'2", 260-pound grappler from the Appalachian State Mountaineers. He finished 8th in the 2017 NCAA Heavyweight Wrestling Championships and a 3-time NCAA qualifier and 2-time Southern Conference Wrestler of the Year. After amassing 113 wins during his college career, Jannetty impressed WWE talent scouts at a trial in 2017. This would be another homegrown talent that would only... The homegrown talents, the only thing we would see from them in the next year as on NXT is jobbers in tag teams. All those guys you see War Raiders beating up, or the Mighty beating up, or Undisputed Era if they go in one of those matches and they beat up, are the homegrown talents that you will not see again after a good while until 6, 7, 8, 9 months later on. Velveteen Dream went through that. He was Patrick Clark for a while there. You also have women do it too. Anytime you see a woman wrestler get jobbed out and on to like a Kairi Sane or a Bianca Belair, they will be used later on when those women move up to the main roster and they take over. Billie Kay was a jobber for the longest time until she made an appearance on SmackDown to job to somebody. I think it was Dana Brooke she actually jobbed to. Then she came back and became a mainstay to the women's division in NXT with her buddy Peyton Royce. That is your Performance Center update there. Speaking of the women, update on all-women's event for WWE. WWE officials are seriously discussing an all-women's event for the main roster superstars. According to the Pro Wrestling Sheet, word is that the event would take place in late September or October. These talks have been going on for a few weeks now, according to PW Insider. Early word is that the show might take place at the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island in September. It was also speculated the date could be September 30th, as WWE currently has no events listed for that Sunday. WWE has a Raw episode booked for Seattle the next day, which creates some logistical issues with running the Sunday show on Long Island. As noted, we'll talk about that in a second. The one problem I have with an all-woman show, I will not mind it if it's done right. If you put Triple H in charge of this show, and you have storylines going into this show, or an all-women show, fine. Not a problem. Big problem, though. If it's a Vince McMahon produced show, no storylines going in at all, we're just throwing matches together, it's going to bomb, they're not going to sell out at all, and it'll be a train wreck. And then Vince McMahon will use this as fuel as to why the women's revolution does not matter to them. Oh, they couldn't even sell at the Nassau Coliseum, who cares? Oh, we're not going to worry about the women. This all-women show could do more damage to the main roster than it can help. Plain and simple. If WWE does not do this right, if they will do this all-woman show, if they do not do this right, and you do not build storylines going into this, and you just throw things together like they did for the Greatest Royal Rumble, and book this show to have like 3-minute matches, it's just going to be a bomb, and it's not going to be good. It's going to hurt, it will hurt the women's evolution, or the revolution, or evolution, the evolution, or whatever you want to call it, more than it will help. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Speaking of things, there's a major announcement coming on Monday Night Raw. WWE's announced that Raw Commissioner Stephanie McMahon will be on Monday Night Raw to make a historic announcement. No word yet on what the announcement may be, but it could have to do something with the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. Monday Night Raw is scheduled to feature Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley to determine Lesnar's SummerSlam opponent. I honestly don't buy that it's going to have anything to do with Brock Lesnar. Nothing to do with Brock Lesnar. You have Sasha Banks putting out a picture of former WWF women's tag team champions. I can't remember who they were, but she put a picture of that on her Instagram. 2 women who were the Worldwide Wrestling Federation or World Wrestling Federation tag team champions for women. It could be that. It could be the all-women show. We do not know, but I don't buy it being for that. If it's for women's tag team titles, I have some problems. WWE has 2 problems with this. Both the Raw and SmackDown women's titles are a complete joke. Both Raw and SmackDown tag team titles for the men are a complete joke. Do you mean to tell me that WWE, who doesn't give 2 shits about the women's titles or the men's tag team titles, are going to give you women's tag team titles? Why the fuck would I care? If I see the treatment you give the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles and the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships, how much little you give a fuck about those 4 titles. Do you really honestly think I'm going to care about tag team titles for the women's divisions? Give me a break. Is it going to be one for each, or is it going to be... Here's another thing that's a problem. With the Raw and SmackDown, if they're going to do tag team titles for the women, you have to do one set, but then that of course makes the entire division, the entire brand split useless. I mean, look at the Go Home show to Extreme Rules, where you had the Lumberjack match for Asuka versus James Ellsworth. There was 8 women on the outside. That's not even enough for a women's, that's hardly enough, and that's hardly enough for a women's division. You add in Charlotte, that's 9. How do you expect me to believe a women's tag team titles? If that is the announcement, I'm not interested whatsoever. You have Bayley and Sasha Banks doing this. We don't even know what the hell they're doing. You had Sasha Banks come out and pretty much profess her love for Bayley, and it did not sound like a friend telling a friend they love them. It sounded like a woman or somebody professing a love to a love interest. That's honestly how it sounded on Monday, and that is not how I expected that to go. And honestly, I'm on the mind that please tell me this is what's going to lead to one of them turning on the other, beating the holy hell out of each other, and we get a match at SummerSlam. It's time to get through with this. But I expect this announcement to be about the women's division. Because if it's anything to do with the women's division, we have to have Stephanie McMahon make the announcement, because it's all about Stephanie. The women's division, she's the reason why the women's division is where it's at today. It's all about Stephanie McMahon. Fuck everybody who's ever been there. Fuck the Baileys, fuck the Sasha Banks, fuck the Asukas, fuck the Charlottes, fuck the Trish Lees from the yesteryear. It's all been because of Stephanie. She pioneered it. She brought the women's evolution to light. It wasn't because fans were typing "Give Divas a Chance," hashtag "Give Divas a Chance." No. It's all about Stephanie. That's why she was the one to announce the Women's Royal Rumble. That's why she's the one who was all about the women. It's all about Stephanie, and it's sickening. But I expect this to be about the women's division. Most likely, I think it's going to be the all-women's show. If you're going to do an all-women's show in September, you might want to advertise it now, or announce it now, so at least you're prepared, instead of oh, we just got done with SummerSlam. By the way, at the end of, we just got done with Hell in a Cell. By the way, in 2 weeks we're going to have an all-women's show. Let's hope not for that. Finishing up here, we're going to have news on WWE's and Vince McMahon's perception of Ring of Honor. I thought I had something else on here too, but I think I lost it. Yeah. On a recent edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, Garrett Gonzalez asked Dave Meltzer whether WWE CEO Vince McMahon sees Ring of Honor's recently booked Madison Square Garden show as a threat, and whether Vince would utilize his deep financial pockets to sign Ring of Honor's most popular free agents. Meltzer replied, "I got to think he's going to go with that tack. They could have let them do the Garden if they didn't care. Obviously, he cares because they didn't let them do it. They tried to block the Garden because of the idea that if the Garden is a big success, it opens a lot of doors. It legitimizes them. If you go in there and sell out Madison Square Garden at the ticket prices they're going to charge, you're now a legitimate product. You're not WWE. You can't compete with WWE, but they're going to be somebody, and they're going to be viewed. Again, because it is in New York, not Chicago, not San Francisco. It's going to be viewed as like, oh, there's another wrestling company that sold out Madison Square Garden. Vince doesn't want that. So the best way to keep them from selling out Madison Square Garden is the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, perhaps Marty Scurll and Adam Page, that whole being the Elite Crew. Realistically, they're probably not going to get Kazuchi Okada. I'm almost certain they're not going to get Hiroshi Tanahashi, and they're not going to kill New Japan in Japan. That's not going to happen, but Ring of Honor is a much different story. Meltzer went on to praise Ring of Honor's recent success, but credited Bullet Club for the majority of them. Hold on. Yes, that is the biggest thing and biggest fear for Vince McMahon, is the fact that Vince McMahon does not want competition. Vince McMahon is afraid of competition. Vince McMahon is enjoying life right now because he doesn't have to do shit for effort, and he just gets people knocking on his door wanting to pay him millions and millions of dollars. They just signed two contracts, one for NBC Universal and one for Fox to air SmackDown on the USA on Fox and Raw on the USA Network for over $2 billion in all. Why would he care? Why would he want to make effort to do anything when all he has to do is just sit back, chillax, and be good? Now WWE needs to figure things out, and this would definitely hurt WWE in the long run. Having them, anyone else selling out Madison Square Garden is going to be a big deal, big time deal for WWE, because now other people are going to take Ring of Honor seriously. Even though I still think Ring of Honor is the second biggest company in the wrestling business now. Ring of Honor, and this is what Dave Meltzer says about Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor has great success by its standards in the last year. What was it? 27% growth last year in attendance, and this year another big jump in attendance. But it also has not much so much Ring of Honor as much as it's the Bullet Club. You take the Young Bucks and Cody Muddy Scroll out of the picture, and they're going back down to where they were before, if not lower. Those guys are more valuable, realistically, than anyone in WWE as far as value to WWE, other than maybe a John Cena, because you could lose a Roman Reigns or a Seth Rollins, it's not going to make a difference. That could not be more truer. WWE, with this whole entire Roman initiative, trying to get Roman Reigns to be the man, and Dave Meltzer put it out right there. They could lose Roman Reigns. It ain't going to make a difference. Go back 10 years ago. You would have John Cena would have been out for an umpteen amount of time for whatever reason. If he would have had to walk away 10 years ago in 2008, WWE would have suffered because they wouldn't have had that big name. You lose Kenny Omega, it's going to hurt New Japan, especially if it gets those guys. They're not going to be at all in two, which is another example of a non-WWE show that could build itself up to be kind of big destination deal. At least the first one was. I think that these negotiations will be very interesting. The New Japan Ring of Honor G1 Supercard is scheduled to take place Madison Square Garden on April 6, 2019. Okay, we do have one more I didn't mention, but yes. WWE has got to be afraid. They've got to be shaking in their boots. Because no doubt in my mind, Triple H is going to come all ham and all mighty to get this show TakeOver Brooklyn 5, which will be in April instead of August. He's going to go out there and he's going to make sure that TakeOver in Brooklyn is going to be the best show you have ever seen. Is that going to hurt? And they're going to, I guarantee you, Vince McMahon is going to make that a directive for Triple H to make sure that show is sold out. That show, because usually when it comes to TakeOver, if you notice, they don't open the entire building up. They just do the bottom bowl. My feeling is with TakeOver in Brooklyn in 2019, before WrestleMania, they're going to open the entire thing up. So they sell more tickets, so they have more people there. So they want to sell that entire building out. So there's less people going to the Super Show in the G1 in Madison Square Garden. But yes, if they sell out Madison Square Garden, if Madison Square Garden actually sells out, it's going to open a Pandora's box, and it'll be the first time ever. And people will be like, oh, well, Madison Square Garden sold out by somebody not WWE. Makes it a lot different. We'll have to see what goes on. Do I see Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Marty Scurll, and Adam Page making it to WWE? No. Why would they need to? Why would they need to come to WWE and lessen themselves and kill all their momentum and all that they do to go get a paycheck from the devil? Why? The Young Bucks don't even have to wrestle again if they don't want to. They make enough money on merchandise sales alone. Those two could just sit there in the luxurious houses, which I'm sure they have luxurious houses. They could just sit there for the rest of their lives, not have a care in the fucking world, and they can sit there and reap all the benefits of what they've done. They don't need WWE. Omega does not need WWE. Paige, Squirrel do not need WWE. As long as they are part of Bullet Club, they will be rich as all can be. We will see how this goes, but I don't see Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, or any of those guys leaving to go to WWE. They don't need it. They are actually, at their point in their career, bigger than WWE in their own career. Now we do have one more I did want to finish up on. This one is an interesting story. WWE offered to pay Tommy Dreamer a lot of money to close House of Hardcore. Not a surprise. This is a way to kill your competition. Let's see. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com interviewed ECW legend Tommy Dreamer. Dreamer told Fightful, "I've learned a lot of lessons in my life. People talk about the greatness of ECW, and it was, but none of us knew that Paul Heyman was in bed with WWE the entire time. That Paul Heyman was in bed with WWE the entire time. I still have those effects and had to live with those effects for a long time. WWE asked me to sign a contract when I went back with the Wyatts. They offered me a lot of money to close House of Hardcore, and I refused. Good on Tommy." Basically, WWE just wanted him to close House of Hardcore. And yes, there was a lot back when Tommy Dreamer was in ECW. WWE was, what people don't realize is WWE was not paying Paul Heyman. What was going on, and Paul Heyman has actually come out and talked about this, was when Too Cold Scorpio was in ECW, he used theme music from a certain band or a certain company, a band. And before his matches, they would cut to commercial and they would do an advertisement for that band, and that netted ECW about $1,000 a week, I believe it is. He said. Well, when he went to WWE, they lost that endorsement deal because he wasn't on the show anymore. So Paul Heyman talked to Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon footed I think it was $1,000 or so to ECW to help to pay for that advertisement revenue they lost because Too Cold Scorpio was in WWE. Good on Tommy Dreamer though to not back down and keep House of Hardcore going. It's now on Twitch every Wednesday as NXT goes off the air. I would watch it sometime live if I could, but I do my review for NXT right after NXT goes off the air. So you know, I'm SOL. But that is going to be all for your Unscripted for this week. There was a couple other stories I wanted to talk about. This week's for SummerSlam was the break. There was a lull period. There was not much build for SummerSlam other than we have a chance for 2 championship matches to be named next week. One on Raw with the Universal Championship. And if Carmella gets beat by Becky Lynch, then we will have Becky Lynch versus Carmella at SummerSlam, and we'll talk about that on Tuesday, if so be. But that is going to be all. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at TheFrauds. Hit that follow button at twitch.tv/TheFrauds08. Hit that subscribe button. Comment down below. Like this video. And before I go, if you want to get anything out of this one, or if you want to get any advice out of this episode of Unscripted, go back to the Kofi Kingston for the New Day statement on Hulk Hogan. You could apologize for anything that you have ever done in your life. If you don't make the effort to show that you are truly sorry or you truly regret the mistakes that you made, then whoever you apologize to will just see that you're full of crap and that that what you said you do not mean what you said. So if you make mistakes, which everyone's going to, trust me, I've made many, and so have you, whoever's listening to this. If you've made mistakes and you are truly sorry for what you've made, make the effort. Don't just be like, I apologize for what I did. I'm sorry, whatever. You have to make the effort. That is your advice for this week. I don't like doing advice sometimes, but it is what it is. I think I made advice last week too. But make sure to always make the effort, because I don't care what anyone says. People, even my ex, I think, did this too. People don't change. Yes, they do. People can change. They just have to make the effort too. They have to have a good enough reason to. And sometimes it's hard to, but you have to make change. Change is good. for everybody. You just have to make the effort too. But I'm getting out of here. You guys have a good one, and I will see you guys later.